So India has 64 million MSME, but only 14% get formal credit. The rest, they're stuck in the informal economy, underbanked, underfinanced, and underserved. What if the future of business finance wasn't sitting in a bank branch, but embedded inside the tools you already use? Today on Breakout, I sit with Rahul Nagar, the co-founder of KredMint, a startup blending smart contracts, embedded finance, and Paytm level hustle to reimagine how small businesses access working capital. This isn't just about lending, this is about financial freedom baked into code. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Breakout. I'm Darshil Khunt, founder of credx.club, where we bring on founders who are not just building startups but shifting paradigms. My today's guest is Rahul Nagar, ex-VP at Paytm, co-founder of and a deep operator in India's B2B fintech movement. He is helping MSME break out of credit trap with techs that invisible, fast, and frictionless. Let's unpack the journey raw, real, and completely unfiltered. Welcome, Rahul, to Breakout. So you were vice president at Paytm during its rocket ship year. What was the moment where you said that I'm going to leave and build something for MSME instead?
Honestly, I spent good 7.5 years with that particular ecosystem, and the learning was humongous. Right? We saw the whole dynamics of the payment space change during that particular point in time. But during COVID, when COVID hit and all of us were like working from home and I was working on different verticals, it almost like gave you some time to think over because otherwise from 9 in the morning till 10 at night, we were just focused on the execution piece, which was happening. And that's when one window came in and we started realizing that what all is happening and trying to evaluate different parameters which were moving in that particular direction. And the whole Paytm ecosystem was moving towards IPO. We were heading multiple verticals. I was heading P&L, was offered a CXO role in that organization itself to head a particular vertical. So that's how this whole thing happened. And then that point in time, we decided, okay, it was not just to do something in this particular space, but I came out of Paytm that, okay, I have seen good enough traction in this. Personally, I have grown on in my career itself. Now I want to see that what all is happening outside of Indian ecosystem, right? And that's how I joined Genpact as their Asia Pacific head coming out of Paytm. So I was not seeking roles. It was they reached out to me that, okay, we are looking on this particular side, and if you want to come on board, and I said, why not? Let's see what all is happening in the Asia Pacific territory and then in the US territory. If some learnings can be taken outside and some learnings can be brought in. And since I have also had a flavor of corporate world during my consulting world with Accenture management, I also wanted to see that, okay, coming from a cosmic, chaotic place like ATM, let's give some time to myself for at least a couple of years in a corporate structure back and do something on that particular front. And during that time when
That's
we were doing this, I got some decent time at my hand when I started exploring the problems which we saw during our SME stint at ATM, and we saw, okay, there's a gap and nobody is filling this particular gap of credit. Like you put across, almost means the government data still claims that this is 30% or 33 odd percent with formal credit being offered to this MSME in SME sector. But the numbers are fairly low on that particular side. The major economy or two-thirds of the economy is still on the informal credit, where they have to take a lot of risk by putting in their hard-earned, not just money, but their hard-earned assets also aligned to money lenders and unorganized sectors, through which way they try and make their ends meet and grow their business on this particular side. And this is not just for a small retailer shop also. This is even for the distributors, where there are distributors of companies who are taking money from the market because a bank without a formal, you can say, asset or without a collateral will not go beyond a certain amount being offered to them, right? And a businessman or you can say the typical person who is running a shop, a lala, he has put in all the capital in his business. He even might not have his own home. That's the mentality of a business guy कि boss मेरे को पहले business बनाना है, धंधे में पैसा डालूंगा, घर बाद में बनाना, दुकान बाद में
yes.
बनाना, धंधे में पैसा डालूंगा. All his capital of last 10 years, 15 years is already reinvested into the business. So now they get into that catch-22 situation कि boss मैं collateral कहाँ से लाऊं? Before the CGTMS policy of government came in, कि there's a 2 crore type of collateral free loans and everything. The business was all these people did not had access to such type of capabilities. So this is the gap which we saw during that period, and that's when we said,
Perfect.
we want to solve this problem and start Credmint and hit the ground and try and bring in, you can say, lending as a gateway type of a platform. There was a payment as a gateway which we did during our Paytm stint. Now we thought, okay, why don't we bring in lending as a gateway type of a platform over here and try to serve this whole underserved SME market focused purely on the business aspect of the merchant, and give them access to credit and give them access to a lot of tech which solves their problem on a day-to-day basis. That's how.
Perfect. Perfect. And take us back to day one where what was the first 90 days look like when you started Credmint, like before funding, before traction, just you and the co-founder with an idea?
So we started from a small office space, right? And that office space was like a co-sharing office space. So somebody was running an office. We reached out over there and he said, "Boss, I have 4 people who are sitting in this office. If you want, I can lend it out to you half of the office space." And from day one, we said, "Boss, we are not going to burn a lot of money on flashy offices and everything. We want to keep money close to our chest, because this was the post COVID scenario which was happening, and the market was slow, and we also could get the sentiment of the market that if you this is not like a 2018, 19, 20 market where VCs are chasing you to give out money and keep offering bigger checks. Even though we were
Yes, in
coming, even though we were coming with a
2020 run.
right, even though we were coming with a lot of experience from the same space, but we realized that the macro is going to stay the same for the next 2-3 years. So let's start this. So me, Himanshu, and Vikas started from a single office. We started exploring multiple partners in the market. If we can get a tech off the shelf and then build over and above it. We for the first 15-20 days, we did a lot of searching in the market, a lot of demos in the market, that what all is available, which was taking care of the vision which we intended to do, or the sort of scale which we had in our mind. And that's the problem, at least I would say, with people like us who have seen such large ecosystems, that we want to solve from day one itself the problem of 100 million, rather than just
Hmm.
doing it for a few hundred or a few thousand people. That's the sort of thing which we had in mind and which we wanted to create. So we started from that office, hired a few engineers. We tried to reach out to people in the market. मिलेगा नहीं है, खुद बनाना पड़ेगा. If this is the vision and this is the problem you are trying to solve, अगर ये बना हुआ होता तो banks और NBFCs और इन सब ने already roll out करना शुरू.
Sure. You have to build it from the ground up.
For the first 6 months, we did that. We did our fundraise in the end of 22 in December, and we hit out in the market in December itself. And we rolled out and started offering loans in an embedded finance integrated manner. So we said, boss, we are not going to have a fleet of 100 people who are on the ground and going shop to shop and started selling it. We said we will reach out to brands and try and solve this problem for the brand, that okay, whoever is your distributor, whoever is your retailer, I'm going to offer him a lending service. And this money can be utilized to buy goods and services from. I'm not giving him a
That
personal loan. I'm not giving him a car loan, a bike loan, a mobile loan, or a flight ticket. This money is not going to be for consumables. This money will only be used for growing the business. That's how we started rolling out, and we gave out our first loan in the end of December 2022.
that's great. Like you solved a very specific problem just for growing up a business rather than focusing on everything, providing loan to two-wheeler financing, all the other things. Most people talk about like building a lending app, and you choose like embedded finance, right? Why embedded finance versus building something standalone app? Like you already pinpoint the few things there was already other fintech competitors are doing.
So you can say lending is not a business where you are supposed to give money out, right? Like any manufacturer is not in a business of producing goods. They are in a business of distribution and collecting money back. Same goes for lending. If you are not in a business where you can collect your money back within a surety, your business will have a lot of holes in it, and you will just keep plugging those holes through. That's one mistake which we wanted to avoid from day one itself. And we also thought from that particular lens, okay, that right now we are 10 people when we started rolling these out. Once a team grows to 200 people, 300 people, then subjectivity comes in, and then you have to keep monitoring those. So if this is not done in a tech manner, the systems cannot be scaled. then I would have to keep deploying people. And this is what we also saw what was happening all across the market. There was, say, if somebody was running an MSME lending business for a particular vertical itself, they were saying, okay, this is one guy who's managing 10 crore of portfolio. If I have to bring in another 10 crore, I have to deploy another guy who is doing a key account management service, who is following up, doing visits to the merchant, checking documents, understanding what all is happening in the market, taking sentiment analysis, even analyzing from a shop owners, the neighbors, ki boss iska business kaisa chal raha hai. Looking into your rear mirror and driving forward and seeing, okay, पीछे road खाली थी तो आगे भी खाली मिलेगी. Correct? So which leads to accidents in this and a lot of NPAs in this. So from day one we said, boss, we need to have a collection hook where there's an embedded finance and a collection hook from somebody who has a deeper relationship than just a payment player, right? Because otherwise the loyalty of a payment player or a loyalty of a lending player is not there in the market. I'm just giving him financial services. But the loyalty towards the brand, a loyalty towards his tech from which he's placing orders day in, day out, and his sales guy who's visiting his shop every week, every 3 days to take fresh orders is more than what they have with me. So we went with this approach that we will only do embedded finance so that I can monitor all his sales, that what all sales are happening, what all orders he's placing, so that gives me a good aspect of how his business health is. Whether his business health is declining, whether his orders are declining, and God forbid if something happens on a collection, then we also took support from the sales teams of the brand who used to nudge him to repay back. And that's how Touchwood in the last 2.5 years, we have a standard portfolio with zero NPAs. And people have seen a lot of burn in the sector who went without an embedded finance and without an anchor play being there. When I say anchor, we talk about the brands itself. So that's how we started. And this was the learning which we had from our earlier stint of buy now, pay later also, which we did at Paytm, right? We were offering these services to the merchants also, and the merchants were leveraging it. They were using our BNPL offerings to grow their business itself. We saw that type of
Yes.
trends and those learning.
So let's talk about the stack. You are doing API driven underwriting and white label solutions as well. It sounds complex to non-tech guy. How do you explain like Credmint technology to a shop owner in Ludhiana or a pharma wholesaler in Ahmedabad?
So once we go to, let's say, as a typical sales pitch, let's say you are sitting out of Ahmedabad and you are doing trading with a particular brand where you are buying goods and selling it either on your shop or you are a distributor, you are giving it to the people. So you might have deployed 10 lakh rupees into your business through which you are buying these goods and services. The only problem which you as a trader has is कि बॉस अगर मेरे पास 5 लाख और होते तो मैं 15 लाख का माल खरीद के मार्केट में माल की कमी नहीं है. प्रॉब्लम है कि मैं 15 लाख का माल नहीं खरीद सकता. So the moment I go to a trader and say, boss, you need credit, every business will first hand will say, boss, yes, credit is my inherent need. मुझे जितना पैसा मिल जाए मैं उतना धंधा बढ़ा लूं.
Yes.
So this is a straight away tick mark from the distributor or the retailer or the shop owner. They never say no to this particular thing. And we make them understand the unit economics of this. That okay, this is your distribution margin, this is my lending cost. You're still making this much more money out of the capital which you have not don't have to deploy. And they're more than happy to get onboarded in this particular piece itself. Like we even do dairy segment, the organized dairy, right? Where a guy places an order of 10,000 rupees, 14,000 rupees on a daily basis, वो इतने का दूध खरीदता है 500-700.
Yes.
उसको अगर आप ये समझाने लगो सर 1.25% लगेगा या 1.5% लगेगा, which is an annualized APR of 18%, it hits him. 18%, that's such huge rate, right?
Amount, yes.
As a rate. But if you go down to his denomination, you try to explain it, कि सर 10,000 रुपए में ना दिन का 6 रुपए लगेगा, which is less than a cup of tea. Whereas in informal market, you are paying 500 rupees on 10,000 on a daily basis. Then it hits him.
Yes.
So you have to go down to that segment and try and explain them in their language rather than being very, you can say, jargon specific or cocky specific. Because दिस इज हाउ द नंबर इज, मैंने बता दिया आपको लेना है लोन, नहीं लेना मत, राइट? यू हैव टू मेक हिम
Yes.
अंडरस्टैंड इन हिज ओन लैंग्वेज एंड देन ही रियलाइजेस कि 6 रुपए में मुझे अगर 10,000 रुपए मिल रहे हैं, शाम को 600 रुपए बनाता हूँ, राइट?
He is more than happy to give it.
इससे अच्छा धंधा क्या? प्लस इट ऑल्सो टेक्स अवे हिज एप्रीहेंशन ऑफ taking loans from the market. Let's say Rahul wants to do it and he calls Darshil कि दर्शिल मेरे पास ना दूध का ऑर्डर आया है, किसी शादी में देना है, कैन यू लेंड मी 5,000 रुपीज? दर्शिल विल डू इट, राइट? एक बार दे दिया, 2 बार दे दिया, 3 बार दे दिया, फोर्थ टाइम आई कॉल दर्शिल से, यार पैसा तू कमाता है, उधार मेरे से मांगता रहता है, मुझे समझ में नहीं आता, करेक्ट? So
It's a continuous flow.
there is a social barrier. He cannot reach out to you continuously and he has to let go of this business. Even though there was an opportunity for him to earn 500 rupees, he has to let go because he doesn't have this capability. He cannot go to a bank and say कि बॉस आज मुझे 10,000 रुपए दे दो, मैं 3 दिन में आपको वापस कर दूंगा. That sort of capability he doesn't have. Now he realizes, अच्छा सर मेरे को किसी से नहीं बोलना है, मेरा इनवॉइस भी आप पे आ जाएगा, मेरे को जस्ट पे बटन पर क्लिक करना है, right? Thanks to UPI and WhatsApp, everyone knows how to operate these apps. And with embedded
Yes.
finance, we show him on a checkout of his B2B app that okay, you can pay my Credmint limit right here. So he just clicks pay on that button, and just like a BNPL, the merchant's anchor gets informed that okay, money is going to be coming from Credmint's ecosystem. You ship your goods and services. So this also solves another problem for the anchor. We try and solve 3 problems for the anchor brand. So typically what happens in the market is you, even though as a दुकानदार I give my check to the sales guy, यार ये ले check, 2 दिन बाद का, पहले तो मैं 2 दिन बाद की डेट डाल के दूंगा, राइट? आज दे रहा हूँ तो मैं 2 दिन बाद की डालूंगा कि यार 2 दिन बाद इसको कैश करना, 2 दिन बाद फोन करके बोलूंगा यार आज मत डालना, पैसा नहीं आया, 3 दिन बाद और डालना, राइट? सो नाउ द CFO इज कंटिन्यूअसली पुलिंग हिज एयर कि बॉस मेरे को मेरे पैसे की विजिबिलिटी नहीं, कंसिस्टेंटली आना है, even though I have to make payments towards my vendors and everything. Right? So we solve this particular problem. We say, boss, you will get your money on T+1 basis, or you will get your money on a T+15 basis, whatever your credit cycle is, right? So he is now certain कि उसको पैसा आ रहा है, with
Yes.
100% visibility, right? Secondly, उसका सेल्स का लड़का हमेशा कहता रहता था, उसके पीछे फाइनेंस के पीछे भागता रहता था, साहब आपने इस आदमी को 1 लाख की लिमिट दी है, इसकी 2 कर दो, मैं 2 लाख का धंधा ला. फाइनेंस वाला बोलता था भाई मैं इससे ज्यादा का माल नहीं दे सकता, right? Now his sales teams gets empowered कि बॉस लिमिट है ना, तो इससे माल सामान खरीद मेरे से, तेरे को मैंने अपने पार्टनर के थ्रू लिमिट दिलवा रखी है, राइट? तीसरा, इसकी बैंडविड्थ खर्च होती थी 20 से 25% सिर्फ कलेक्शंस में, जो जाके उसको फोन करना, बोलना सर पेमेंट दे दो पिछले माल की, या पिछली इनवॉइस आ गई है, अब ये नई इनवॉइस पे अगली पिछली वाली इनवॉइस क्लियर कर दो, राइट? मार्केट में वो इनवॉइस टू इनवॉइस वाली प्रैक्टिस भी थी, अगली
Yes.
इनवॉइस पे पिछली इनवॉइस का बिल दूंगा या पेमेंट दूंगा, एक बिल की
The same we were doing when my father was doing electronic business. Like the same what you have exactly
these
told.
are these are necessary events which happen, which are there in the market, not just because they want to do it, but they want to somehow manage their working capital. Because
True.
he is also given credit downstream. अगर मैं डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर हूँ, मैंने रिटेलर को उधार में दे रखा है, अब रिटेलर से मेरे पास पैसा नहीं आया तो मैं कंपनी को कहाँ से दूँ? उसकी भी मजबूरी है, घर से कब तक कितना पैसा लाके देता रहेगा? So try to solve these 2 problems from this, and with 100% transparency, right? वो 4%, 3%, 5% महीने का, like they were just extorting money out of it कि processing fees के नाम पे 10% ले लिया, right?
Hmm.
And the same visibility was created for the brands also.
Hmm.
A brand guy knows how much limit is available to my distributor, how much limit is available to my retailer, how much of that has been utilized, how much that of has been repaid, how much repayment is happening on time, so that he knows how healthy the business is happening on the ground. Rather than somebody giving him Excels or MIS on emails, he can log in at any point in time. Sales वाला अपनी टेरिटरी में देख सकता है कि मेरे दुकानदारों के पास किसके पास कितनी लिमिट है, कितनी यूटिलाइज्ड है, कितनी नहीं. उसको किसी को फोन करके पूछना नहीं, उसको कोई ईमेल खोल के देखना नहीं. सो वी क्रिएटेड दीज टेक स्टैक्स दैट वी एम्पावर्ड देम कि बॉस अपना फोन खोलो और कभी भी देखो. मर्चेंट रात को 11 बजे भी अगर अपनी इनवॉइस की पेमेंट 11:59 पे, तो उसका इंटरेस्ट मीटर 11:59 पे बंद हो जाएगा. अगर वो सुबह 3 बजे पे, उसकी सुबह 3 बजे पे, ही इज नॉट सपोज टू वेट कि अच्छा यार बैंकिंग आवर्स बंद है. तो
Yes.
टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम जहाँ पे हर 2 दिन में, 3 दिन में, 1 दिन में पेमेंट जाता है, वहां पे सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आती है सैटरडे संडे और जिस दिन नेशनल हॉलीडे हो जाता है. वो कह रहा साहब कैश काउंटर पे रखा हुआ है, ब्रांच नहीं खुली हुई, कैश डाल नहीं सकता. अब कंपनी को पैसा, कंपनी तो डिजिटली पैसा मांगती है यूपीआई से, या मेरे अकाउंट में डेबिट उसको पैसा भी है but मैं पैसा दे नहीं सकता. So with our technology, he was able to use it. So we tried to help in different manners on this.
Yes. So what role does the data plays, like you have mentioned, in credit scoring at KredMint? And like let's say if some of the SME they don't have any credit history, how it works, like the loan sectioning and how much time it will.
So our systems are 100% digital, where we take all their GST data, their banking data, the cash flow data of what all transactions they have done. So let's say I'm new to credit, right? Even though you are new to credit, but your cash flow data with the anchor or with your distributor will show me how your payment pattern has been and how much business you have been doing on for the last 12 months. And I'm not relying on your tally. I'm relying on the invoices which has been raised and payments have gone for that. So a brand does not have any chance of trying to do a fraud for a small retailer, right? So we are underwriting him on his cash flow, along with his banking, along with his CIBIL. So we are trying to marry these three data points and then offer him a credit limit. So our system analyzes more than 200 variables internally, creates a credit score for him, and then accordingly a credit. Let's say if this is a green scenario, a straight through journey, the system will automatically approve it. That okay, Darshil is eligible for 2 lakh worth of limit for this particular brand to buy his goods and services. Because his invoices are telling me, boss, ये GST invoice आया था, इस GST का 3 GST 3 भी फाइल किया हुआ है, ये अमाउंट यहाँ से भी मैरी हो रहा है, ये अमाउंट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से भी मैरी हो रहा है, ये अमाउंट का मुझे पेमेंट भी दिख रहा है, उसके बैंकिंग में क्या अगेंस्ट पेमेंट भी किया था, राइट? उसका सिबिल भी दिखा रहा है कि कोई डिफॉल्ट नहीं है, न्यू टू क्रेडिट है, दैट्स परफेक्टली फाइन. किसी ने आज तक पहले उसे नहीं दिया तो वी आर ट्राइंग टू हेल्प हिम.
Yes.
Devices, right? So we put in all those learnings, and then our system also keeps monitoring. Let's say every 3 days or every day he places how many transactions of payments happen, how many transactions of invoice happens. So we continuously are monitoring his business health, not just a one-time evaluation at the point of onboarding. That
Okay.
helps us realize this, and we are even offering this as a service.
Yes.
Business तो सही बराबर चल रहा है ना? So from a certain pin code, if there are 10 merchants who are working with that particular brand, and 8 are showing a different behavior and 2 are showing a different behavior. So there used to be flags. There are flags with
Even brands can determine how their business is going and how they can provide or how they can help their brands grow with this specific data rather than just keep looking for other analysis, going after the sales team, going in person or giving them a call. So it's give them a specific analysis how their whole end-to-end operations is performing.
and with our integrations, we also get the last 12 months of cash flow data, right? Which shows us his pattern of last 12 months. So his pattern and seasonality and everything will not change one fine day.
Yes.
There could be an anomaly, there could be an exception, that's perfectly fine, but that cannot remain same for a week, that cannot remain same for a month. So our system also checks what is happening in the past. Is it getting aligned with him, with his cluster, his set of merchants who operate in that same manner itself, or all of a sudden from that cluster 20 merchants have moved out? What is happening? So we get all those alerts built in our system.
And you said you are well, like we are. This is like you are operating in a very crowded fintech space, right? There is names like Credx, the one start with K, not ours, Credx, but VB3 and Razorpay in the mix, right? What is the Credx very unfair advantage across the competitors?
No, so it's similar to a scenario ki what is a problem which Paytm cannot solve or a phone pay cannot solve. Right? They can solve this. It's not that we are not trying to reinvent or we are not trying to bring in a product in this particular market, but the market is so huge. The market is close to $100 billion
Yes.
in single vertical itself. Like pharma itself is a $50 billion business market, and out of that, two-thirds is untapped. Steel,
Yes.
cement, agri, manufacturing, clothing, shoes, right? There is so much of activity which is happening. It's effectively more than $500 billion market which is sitting there, and there can be 10 different creditments in this whole space who can come and try and solve this problem for the market. So that's one thing. Secondly, all these platforms are trying to solve a different problem and they have their own fights, right? It's just that their focus areas are different. They are trying to solve for 100 million consumer base, right? And they have their journey of growth in certain points and where their focuses are. Even for us, when we were working in our previous organization, for us, payment was the biggest problem solution which we were trying to do. And then there were rest of complementary services which were getting built around, right? financial services and XYZ. These are all complementary services which are built around the core layer of payment. So they are trying to do that, and we are trying to be focused more on this particular piece because this is our day in, day out, and they are doing like 10 verticals and 10 different problems being solved at that particular. So that separates us from what all is happening in the territory, and there is enough meat and enough juice on the plate that everyone can keep doing it, and there's still, I would say, even 5 more players come on the B2B side, there's still enough for all these players to take care of.
Yes. And previously you were partnered with NBFC, right? And now you have your own NBFC license. How it will change the game for Credmint?
During our early stint itself, we realized that okay, if we want to be seen as a serious player, and we also wanted to partner with that particular ecosystem where we are sitting on the right side of the regulation, right? So we are not in this for a short stint. All of us from day one itself that okay, we are in this for a long haul, and we are trying to solve this problem for good. And otherwise, हम बंद करके घर चले जाएंगे. There is no problem, no, there is no harm. If I'm trying to solve this problem, I will solve it in a rightful manner. So we realized that you had to have a lending license so that you are also being abide by the same regulatory strict which a bank is being abide by, and that's how we started exploring the NBFC space early in 2013 itself. And we reached out to RBI. You can say in April of 2023, we started our first loan in December. In the next 4 months, we reached out to RBI. Boss, we need a license. We want to be in this, and then RBI took its own time. They had their own process, and within 1 year, after 1 year, we got our a nod from RBI that okay, you can have this NBFC and you can run your business with that. And now we have the capability that we can create certain programs ourselves and increase our book size or do a co-lending with a banking partner or with an NBFC, which also gives a comfort to the lending partner, right? Where I also have a skin in the game and they also have a skin in the game, and we are able to grow the portfolio. Let's say I have 5 crore, but I cannot give a 100 crore type of an offering, right? But bring in different banks as okay, my NBFC is ready to put in 5 crores. Why don't you bring in 95 crores, right? And then we start offering a larger share of kitty. So we understood it from day one that we have to do it in this particular manner. And even though we don't want to have a larger book share on the NBFC, but we definitely want to keep some portfolio on that and keep growing.
And that also give the confidence to the bank as well. That was along with them, you're also putting the money, and that give you
And
like
on
a collaborative.
the NBFC also, we brought in a lot of advisors, right, or independent directors who are like ex CGMs of RBI itself, so that they keep us guiding that okay, this is how you should be doing it, so that it's built for long haul.
And you charge interest, processing fee, and offer analytics tools, which you have mentioned. What is the most revenue stream in this business? What is the most overlooked revenue, or something which you can add the revenue in this business?
So the journey has been very interesting for us. Right? So we started as a lending as a services, but very soon we realized that boss, lending is not going to scale up until unless there is tech involved. If I'm running a 1,000 crore entity, I'm very good at with manufacturing, I'm very good with distribution, but मेरे को tech समझ में नहीं आता. क्यों? मुझे फैक्ट्री चलानी आती है, मुझे माल बेचना आता है, मेरे को tech नहीं समझ में आता. So we realized there was a lot of gap कि certain place की बहुत मुझे करना है, but मेरे पास technology नहीं है. So we created a
Yes.
distribution management system. We created an inventory management system. We created a B2B commerce app. We created a field sales app कि बॉस आप अपनी खाली सेल्स ही नहीं, अपनी सेल्स को ट्रैकिंग भी कर सकते हैं कि कौन लड़का कहाँ जा रहा है. We created this complete tech suite for these anchors, and this has a hidden incentive for us also. If this guy is using tech, then I can scale. I can have this business grow. I can have 100% technology visibility of what all is happening, right? And that's how we created this particular business, which is bringing us revenue to us. We have partners who were doing 10,000 odd crore of businesses. They were using like 7 different vendors to do all these things. जैसा कि यार मैं जब वो ग्रो कर रहा था, किसी ने मुझे बोला ये CRM यूज कर लो, किसी ने बोला ये वेयरहाउस मैनेजमेंट यूज कर लो, वो मैंने लगा दिए. बट अब जब भी मैं उनसे कुछ बोलता हूँ चेंज करने के लिए, पहले तो 7 वेंडर्स का टाइमलाइन मैच नहीं करता है, फिर कुछ आज मांगता हूँ तो 6 महीने बाद की टाइमलाइन मिलती है. अब ये मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. और जो छोटा है जिसकी सपोज 500,000 करोड़ का बिजनेस है, सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है 500 से 1,000 करोड़ वाले बिजनेसेस के. वो लोग इस लूप में फंस जाते हैं, वो 1,000 करोड़ के बाहर नहीं जा पाते. वो 2,000 करोड़, 3,000 करोड़, 5,000 करोड़ की कंपनी नहीं बना पाते। क्यों? वो टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए डिपेंडेंट है थर्ड पार्टीज पे, थर्ड पार्टीज के लिए वो फोकस नहीं है। तो उनको जो भी
Yeah.
टूल्स मार्केट से ऑफ द शेल्फ मिल रहे हैं उन्हीं पे रिलाई करना पड़ता है। So we created a no-code B2B commerce app where his guy can just do a drag and drop and do this. So effectively an
No, no.
AI module which we created 1.5 years back. That okay,
Everything like whole complete ecosystem for MSME.
ecosystem as a configurable layer, and which is bringing us revenue also along with it. Other than
Yes,
the
yes, true, true. Because if they are solving like a specific pain point for the businesses, they are very happy to give it.
and we realize this. कि बॉस अगर स्केल नहीं, वरना स्केल नहीं होगा। एंड दिस इज
Yes.
आर लर्निंग ऑल्सो कि बहुत सारे लोगों ने ट्राई करा है बट वो नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे? कि साहब नीचे की विजिबिलिटी नहीं है। विजिबिलिटी नहीं है तो लैंडिंग कैसे कर दूं? पैसा रिस्क पे है। आखिर में आपको पैसा भी तो देखो, आप किसी का बिजनेस ग्रो करना चाह रहे हो बट आप 1 रुपए के लिए 100 रुपए का तो दाव नहीं लगाओगे ना कि मेरे को 1 रुपए का इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा है। बट ऐसा तो नहीं करूंगा कि 100 रुपए डूब जाए। अगर वो 100 रुपए डूब गए तो अगली 100 प्रोफाइल उससे जो आना था वो तो इसी एक अकाउंट में खत्म हो गया, राइट? So we saw from that spectrum and we also created this particular piece. So we also give out along with embedded finance, we also give out these services into the market where we make a good amount of money out of that along with lending. So we are trying to complement all these services. We are trying to bring in a lot of synergy where a partner, a brand sees us as a single window. Ki boss, for any of my payment needs, for any of my lending needs, for any of my technology needs, there is Credmint where they can rely and straight away reach out to us and we solve that particular problem. So that's the
No,
long
no,
vision. We intend to do that. Lending as a gateway is where Credmint should be seen.
no, no. That's great. Like end-to-end solution for MSME. You're aiming for like 1,000 crore loan book, and you have already done 500 plus CR in 2 years, right? That's a very big leap. What are the 2 to 3 factors that will help you go beyond the 1,000 CR in next year?
So right now we are gearing up for that particular growth piece itself. So for the first 6, 8 months, even though we started in December, we were just testing out market. Boss, how is our product doing? How so that our technology is not breaking? There are no bad experiences for the consumers. We did not wanted to hit out to a lot of large brands and then roll back. कि boss, मेरा technology चल नहीं पा रहा है. So for the first 6 months, we also had a lot of learnings and we wanted our products to be tested and being accepted by different players in the market where there were no teething issues, no bugs or no downtimes which were happening. And post 8, 9 months, now we have integrated with partners who have like you can say the scale of 70,000 odd distributors and retailers on their platform, or 1 lakh distributors and restaurant partners on their platform. So we have integrated to that, and now it's time that we are putting on the acceleration to start growing our books. Along with our books, we have also partnered with a lot of you can say NBFCs and banks also. So we are working with we just very recently got onboarded with a PSU bank also, where they are ready to have their lending capabilities and our technology merged together, fused together, where they bring in the capital, we bring in the learnings, and we bring in the tech piece and try and cater to the underserved market on this particular side. So now is the time where
That's
we are
great.
putting on the acceleration piece, and hopefully things will unfold in the next year or this financial year. We cross 1,000 crore disbursement, and from there onwards, we intend to let's say in the next 3 years do a 10,000 crore type of a number.
No, no, that's great to hear because you already found a product market fit. There is a pain point in the market, and now it's a time to scale to the next level beyond 10,000 crore.
All our
So,
techs, all our techs are created in that manner that it's like a no code, no configuration. Somebody has to just drag and drop, and it's done for it. They did not come and
that's
call my developer ki boss mere liye ye change kar. So we have
mm,
gone into that much depth, and for 1 year we were just keeping our heads down, not just from lending perspective, but even for this DMS and all these. Because we went down to and sat with the CEOs and CFOs and business heads and transit boss. आप बताओ आपका बिजनेस मुझे 800 करोड़ से 1500 करोड़ करना है तो आपको क्या क्या चाहिए? पैसा तो चाहिए, ठीक है, इसके अलावा और क्या क्या चाहिए? He said मेरे को ये
yes,
टेक्नोलॉजी ये चाहिए, and we created all those deep down by thinking about multiple verticals, multiple business units. कि अच्छा अगर मैं ऑर्गेनाइज्ड एरिया में करूंगा तो अगर मैं एपरल्स में करूंगा तो अगर मैं सीमेंट इंडस्ट्री में करूंगा तो क्या मैं स्टील इंडस्ट्री में जाऊंगा तो क्या चाहिए होगा? अगर मैं मारुति के स्पेयर पार्ट्स वाली इंडस्ट्री में जाऊंगा, अगर मैं केमिकल इंडस्ट्री में जाऊंगा तो वहाँ क्या चाहिए होगा? अगर मैं ऑयल इंडस्ट्री में जाऊंगा तो वहाँ क्या चाहिए होगा? मैं फार्मा में जाऊँ तो मुझे वहाँ क्या चाहिए होगा?
perfect. That's great to hear. And you have worked with like more than 120 brands and 500,000 plus merchants, right? Till now, what's the most surprising or most interesting customer usage case so far?
So I would say the most surprising category for us was organized day. एवरीवन सेड कि बॉस यहाँ से पैसा लाना ना नामुमकिन है। अगर आपने दूध वाले को पैसा उससे आप रिकवर ही नहीं कर सकते। आप ना तो उससे जाके झगड़ सकते हो, ना सुबह 5 बजे उसको पकड़ सकते हो, क्योंकि वो 5 बजे से 9 बजे तक दूध बेचेगा और वो घर चला जाएगा। आपका ऑफिस खुलेगा 10 बजे, राइट? बट वी वर प्लेजेंटली सरप्राइज्ड बाय दिस पर्टिकुलर सेट। दीस गाइस सेड कि सर पहली बार कोई आके हमसे बोल रहा है सर लोन ले लो, 5 रुपए 6 रुपए दिन का दो 10,000 रुपए पे और शाम को ट्रांजेक्शन कंप्लीट। एंड we have seen a 100% standard portfolio.
That's impressive.
This was one of the more and their businesses have grown like 2x 3x. So like with one of the partners, the fairly early partners which we started with this. So he said कि हाँ यार कर लो. We met their CMD and we met their tech team. He was using a third party CRM system and a distribution app, right? So we got ourselves integrated. The program rolled out. We did trainings, we did gate meetings, and we onboarded a lot of distributors and merchants. And after 3-4 months, we went back to the CMD. कि सर एक बार आपको रिव्यू कर लेते हैं. सो ही कॉल्ड इन एज CFO कि हाँ बताओ क्रेडमिंट ने कितना बिजनेस कर लिया, 5-10 लाख रुपए कुछ डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करे नहीं करे पिछले 3 महीने के अंदर. एंड द गाय सेड सर 5-10 लाख रुपए, these guys have distributed 4.5 crore in the last 3 months.
No, that's impressive because nobody has solved the problem. That's why it's quite shocking for them as well. That
he did
how
not, उसने भी नहीं उन्होंने he did not think that कि अच्छा इसमें इतना decent adoption भी मिलेगा ही नहीं. But he was very responsive कि अच्छा यार आप ये solve करने आ रहे हो. I'm more than happy to open my systems and you try and solve this problem, because a lot of people have tried but nobody was delivering on their promise, and he was pleasantly surprised out of that. And then after that he started doing his sales reviews. So we even showed him that merchants or distributors who were using their limit in quarter itself they have grown their business by 22.5% just because limit was available. And he was pleasantly surprised कि बॉस मैं ना साल का इतना मार्केटिंग का खर्चा करता हूँ, मेरा 15% ग्रोथ नहीं आता. With this limit itself आप मेरा धंधा 22.5% बढ़ा लाए हो compared to a guy who doesn't have a limit. So then he made it as a mandate to his sales guys कि मुझे हर हफ्ते एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर और एक रिटेलर तुम्हारे टेरिटरी से चाहिए. Small things which have happened.
no, that is a small data points where they can also think like, okay, ये काम कर रहा है, so then they want to implement on a full-fledged basis to their whole ecosystem, and then they also tell their distributor, their partners, or their
It's a word of
retailers that
mouth.
to
Word of
use this
mouth.
platform.
So initially there was a lot of resistance, but once 5, 7, 10 guys get onboarded and then they say, "अच्छा, राहुल ने लिमिट ले ली है, सर मेरे को भी चाहिए, क्योंकि मेरे पड़ोस की दुकान का बेटा मेरे पास क्यों नहीं है?" Then he feels like, "अच्छा, I'm underprivileged. This guy has been given limit by the distributor." The same thing. Let me tell you one example. So we work in the pharma sector, and this is a distributor who does 150 odd crore of a business on an annualized basis. So it's like a 5 crore type of a monthly business. Sorry, 15 crore type of a monthly business.
15 crore.
He said कि बॉस मैं करना चाहता हूँ, I want to take this limit because I serve 2,000 plus retailers in my ecosystem. But मेरी प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि मेरे तो दिन के ना 5,000 इनवॉइसेस मेरा सिस्टम जनरेट कर देता है. कोई भी लेंडिंग पार्टनर आता है वो 5,000 इनवॉइसेस को क्यों, मेरा एक इनवॉइस होगा 14 रुपए 10 पैसे. अगर किसी ने 2 पत्ते मांगे मैं 2 पत्ते भी भेज. बॉस वी विल सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम फॉर यू. You let us integrate in your tech stack. We will pull all these invoices. You select whichever invoice you want to do, and we reworked on our tech, and after that our systems have been processing invoices like crazy in this particular space. At times people have come to him where he say, "Sir, मैं आपको ना क्रेडमिंट से 1% सस्ते पे भी दे दूंगा." He is not ready to move. He said, "बॉस जो मेरे को कन्वीनियंस और कंफर्ट में 14 रुपए 10 पैसे का कोई 15 रुपए नहीं भेज रहा." And he gets a complete ledger of his interest income shown at a single place, so that उसके फाइनेंस को भी कहीं reconciliation नहीं करना पड़ेगा, right? So we had those some, you can say, good
That is a
learning.
great benefit for them. That end to end is going from one place, so they don't have to like यहाँ से loan ले ली, then for another thing they have to
No, in
integrate
this
another
system,
thing.
we did not change his distribution management system. We did not change his order management system. We just integrated in that. So a lot of players in the market have come in past and told him कि boss मेरे पास tech stack है, but जैसे ही उसने लगाया वो चलता ही नहीं था. वो उसका रिकंसिलेशन नहीं होता था, उसको इंटरेस्ट इनकम ट्रांसपेरेंटली नहीं दिखती थी, उसको हर मंथ एंड पे रिकंसिलेशन में ही बैठा रहता था 5 दिन के लिए कि सर बताओ कितना इतना पैसा गया, कितना इंटरेस्ट बना, ताकि मैं अपने अकाउंट वाले को दे सकूं. So we did not change
So
anything other than this transparency problem and a real time tech problem for him. तुम
perfect. And you have raised from Ashni Grover, Kunal Shah, and others smart mind in the fintech space,
correct.
right? What is that one best advice one of them ever gave you?
So the best advice I would say on the first day itself when we were raising this money, we announced these guys were more than happy to support us on that particular frontier. And then for 15 days, we did not reach back to them. So we thought कि अच्छा यार 2 million इधर से आ रहे हैं, let's start try and reach out to the VC market and make it a $5 million type of a round and then execute. Then one fine day we get a call from them कि boss क्या हुआ? You guys were starting, you have not taken the money. So we told them कि boss we are trying to do this and they said boss don't wait, take money from us and start executing. जिसको आना होगा वो आ जाएगा. So that was like, okay, even though we come from that particular mindset, but we were not doing this. At Paytm level, when we were raising money, in $100 million type of the tune where there were continuous discussions which were happening, right? Not from this particular phase that, okay, there has to be a 0 to 1 journey. And from the scale perspective, like we spoke to a lot of VCs initially where they said, boss, do it for one vertical or do it for a particular niche. And we said, nahi yaar, hum tech bana rahe hain, so we will create a tech which should be serving multiple verticals itself. Because we come from that type of pedigree and that type of ecosystems where we have seen large scale systems being created. And there could be vertical heads who will be running these shows, right? There could be
Yes.
owners, there would be different CEOs who will be running certain verticals. But we will create it for a larger span of ecosystem.
And initially, it's very hard to think like I want to create a full-fledged ecosystem because anytime you go to an investor, they will always say go to a specific niche, solve a specific problem rather than building a whole full-fledged ecosystem. Even if you come from a very top executive role or from a long like 20-25 year career, they always say that solve a specific problem.
It's more of you can say an entrepreneurship mindset to a CEO mindset type of a scenario. Since we worked in those type of profiles over there, we were pseudo CXO profiles which we were taking care of, right? So we come from that particular mindset कि बॉस ये होगा तो ऐसे ही होगा, अदरवाइज ये स्केल नहीं होगा, वरना आप बहुत छोटे प्ले में बहुत ही छोटे प्लेयर बन के रह जाओ.
Yes.
So that's why we were able to get this vision given back to our people, and they concurred, and that's why when we speak with the likes of Kunal, Ashleer, and all, and they concur our thought. Because what you are trying to do, and even with the likes of investor portfolio where Vikas used to work with, right? He used to work with the likes of Masas and SoftBanks and whatnot when he was raising money for our previous employer, right? So they also concur ki boss, whatever you are trying to do, you are trying to do it for the larger set of players, and this is how it should be done. It might take a couple of years, but once the ball starts rolling, there is no you can say stopping from there.
Perfect. For any founder who is watching this podcast, building in specifically in fintech, what's your message?
Two things. One is it's not about I have the brilliant of the idea or I'm the smartest one in this room or not. One, the only thing which differentiates a player who succeeds to somebody who doesn't is the grit, right? Whether you are focused on your execution or not. I can have a brilliant idea, and if I don't execute it well, that's the most pathetic thing which I could do to myself. Forget about anyone else. If I'm not able to execute it in the rightful manner. And the second thing is you should keep looking at what all is happening in the market. So if there is a complementary thing, there is a pivot which needs to be created for your business, you should be more than ready to accept and adopt it, but not just because somebody sees it. If you see a complement to your business. So if you are agile on that front, and that's what entrepreneurship is, that you have to be hell bent, hard earned on your vision, but keep fine tuning as per the market needs. If you don't do that, you don't succeed. If you keep doing that, there's no stopping around that.
And what's get you up every morning? Like what's impact you want Credmint to have on Indian economy, specifically in MSME sector?
So honestly, ourselves, we definitely want to take this particular sector, and we want to be seen among the top 2 3 players in the MSME space where not just on the lending side, but also on the B2B payment side. The banks also see us as a complementary partner where they rely on Credmint. The merchants see us as a beacon runner for this, that, okay, somebody who is trying to come and solve a problem, not just to bring in capital money, but also transparently and with a credibility and trust where they depend upon. So that's what keeps us motivated and what keeps us keep bringing in new thoughts and new ideas into our flow. Like last month itself, we launched BBPS in our lending suite, where now the merchants and large corporates can make their bill payments and their insurance payments, their credit payments, their FASTag payments using Credmint along with credit services. So we are trying to
That's
implement everything which they need. And since we come from that perspective, we have seen that ecosystem run. We just brought it and integrated it within a month itself, rather than reinventing that wheel and learning it for an year and then giving it out into the market. So that's how we see ourselves in this space.
perfect. And lastly, we will ask you one liner, three questions. One piece of advice you will give to your younger self.
I should have started early.
That's I have heard so many times. But it's good. Like always you feel like if I started early, then I will started solving this problem much easier. But there is always when you decide, it's always the right time to go forward about it.
There is no.
And what yes. What is the one prediction about the future of Indian fintech?
Well, people see this right now as a crowded place, but in terms of fintech, ATMs, phones, and others, and then even the banking and the government's initiative, this space is going to change drastically. With so many infras being introduced by the government, the fintech space in the next 5 years is going to be top notch across the globe, where people will there were a lot of learnings which in the Indian fintech space in the initial first 5 years had from the Chinese market, where they were way ahead of it. Now we are comparable to that, and in terms of what all is happening from the government's initiative, we definitely see there this has to be the beacon in this particular sector, and most of the economic activities revolve around it. At the end of the day, any business, any transaction is going to bring in money. So this will
Yes.
keep playing pivotal role across cards, across retailers, across merchants, across businesses, and everything. And everyone now wants it today, right now, day before, right? They have to
Instant.
instant in their hand, and there is nothing wrong about it. Technology and policies have allowed us to do it, and
Yes.
in a very secured manner, everyone is trying to do and solve.
And one last question. One thing you wish more people should understand about MSME business as an entrepreneur.
So I would say, as an MSME business, because you come from Ahmedabad or the Gujarat,
Whole sector I can deeply resonate with what you are solving because I've seen like in my friends family or wherever in Ahmedabad there is whole manufacturing hub, right? So I've seen people struggling with what you are currently solving, like whether it's with invoicing or payments or salespeople, like calling them every day that they are sending the check today, because I feel that all the details what you have shared, it's totally personal. Let's say even we are giving checks to somebody, we write a day after 3 days. Then he deposit a check. There is already 2 3 days holiday. Then he deposit a check. After 3 days, the checks get clear. So it's already like
10 days.
7 to 10 days gap. He doesn't get a very clear overview that this much money I will be getting this month or this week, and this much I can spend it on other goods or supplies or pay it to the vendor.
Right. So what on the MSME space is happening a lot right now, and this is sort of a disruption which is happening, which people were not realizing would happen, and even brands were not realizing that this will happen. And this has happened because of the aggregation layers which have come in, where people have tried to come and buy the complete distribution chain itself, right? Where let's say a steel brand is coming and उसने कहा कि अच्छा बॉस कल से आपकी दुकान मेरी ये पकड़ो आप 5 साल का revenue and from tomorrow you will be selling my goods. Now the brands also got threatened by it because a lot of acquisitions happened in this particular space. Right? This is this is a new development which is happening on the MSME space, and why the younger generations and more brands and everyone is trying to move towards the technology space. जहाँ पे होता क्या है कि एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर अपने ब्रांड को कभी नहीं ये बताता कि मैं माल किसको बेचा. ही फील्स लाइक अगर मैंने ये बता दिया तो कल को ब्रांड डायरेक्टली उसको पहुंच जाएगा और तेरा धंधा खत्म, राइट?
Yes.
तुम बीच में जो बैठे हो वो लेयर, बट The brands have realized, what, I'm not ready to disrupt this layer because you do the credit management, you do the last mile delivery for the goods, and you manage the relationship. So I'm not threatening it to you on your side, but I also want the visibility that what all is happening, so that my business interests are also protected. That one fine day you do not shut down my shop or somebody comes and acquires your distribution and I'm left high and dry, right? Like a particular territory जो 200 crore का धंधा करती है, अगर किसी ने वो distributionship आके खरीद ली inorganically because somebody has a deep equity money or a VC money, and then all his business goes for a toss. So now the brands want that B2B e-commerce app, the whole OMS distribution app जहाँ पे रिटेलर से ऑर्डर लग रहा है, डायरेक्टली ब्रांड को विजिबिलिटी है, इवन तो द लॉजिस्टिक्स एंड शिपमेंट्स आर स्टिल हैपनिंग, कि वो स्टॉकिस्ट के पास, सुपर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर के पास जाता है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर के पास जाता है, रिटेलर के पास जाता है, फिर कंज्यूमर के पास जाता है. देयर वाज नॉट अ लॉट ऑफ financial awareness that okay, if somebody defaults, what will happen, how their civil will be impacted, how their credit profile will be impacted. But now, thanks to the last 4 5 years, the merchants are more aware, more prudent, more thought driven, that they take credit only when it is required. Right? It's only the 2 3% who does not have an intent to pay. As long as you have an intent to pay, there is nothing wrong in this particular sector, and a businessman understand कि boss, अगर intent नहीं होगा तो वो धंधा चल ही नहीं सकता. It's more about कि अगर मेरा character ही खराब है तो फिर मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता. मेरी नीयत खराब है तो मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता. And this MSME sector is more than happy to adopt new technologies, adopt newer ways to solve that problem, because they are the most early adopters. कि कोई भी नया माल आता है तो मैं बेचने की कोशिश करूंगा. So they try and learn and see how anyone can come and fix a problem for them. So more and more people should come and try and solve this particular problem for the MSME sector.
And definitely, exactly what you have said. If someone has the intention to pay, he will always pay. And that's what we even believed, that even in future, if we raise our own venture fund or any, we start with a syndicate, we do believe that we want to invest in character of an founder, because that is something you cannot change anytime. That is something you are built from ground up, from childhood, what you have faced, what you experience, how you take it, the things what really went right. So that's what we always want to do. We want to invest in character, help them out. I know founders do make mistakes. Accept it as soon as possible, move forward, build something else, and breaks the thing out. So that was Breakout with Rahul Nagar, a fintech builder who is rewriting the rules of MSME finance with speed, empathy, and serious execution. If you got a value out of this, hit that like, drop a comment, and share it with a founder or investor who needs to hear this story. I'm Darshil Khunt, and this is Breakout by credx.club. Till next time, keep building and keep breaking out.